Good afternoon, Wizards. Now, very sorry about yesterday's video. It was actually made around 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it was about to be uploaded around 2 o'clock in the morning after I was finished editing it. As you can see here, it was actually around half an hour long. The whole video is here. So, looking at several little setups on this video here, I wanted to go over one point in particular because for some reason it's not uploading. But I wanted to put a lot of focus on the $10,400 region that I did cover, basically stating that if we do see a break of 10.4, we should begin excelling towards the likes of $11,600, peaking at around $11,1200, following a Fibonacci setup in this crazy, very strange instance here. The Fibonacci setup actually came through before we could actually see any form of retracement fulfill. So what we were looking at here was a clear breakout to indicate the next surge, and I will kind of let you guys in on a bit of a secret right now that if you actually preempt in advance where price is going and put the Fibonacci tool there, it actually provides the targets before the retracements now, and this has been happening a few times. So I'm going to try and find a few more examples throughout the week to see if it can fulfill itself as well. But I've actually noticed many points now where I've put down a normal fib, even from like here to here as an example, and before even retracing, it will just go straight to the projected target almost precisely. So a key point that I mentioned, you would have seen a Fibonacci here, which I'll be showing you in a second, aligning with $11,600. So we met the first target here, pulled back. In terms of all of these levels down here, we'll get to that in a second. It's not really of concern right now, to be honest with you, but if this works. $600, 11.5, 11.6, located right in your scopes there. Huge monthly Fibonacci region, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if that will hold if it actually ends up breaching that level. It's a very significant level and very far beyond what we originally anticipated. So basically, yeah, so as you can see, there was a bit of focus around this region here on a huge monthly Fibonacci I didn't even notice. So going over to this now on a Fibonacci perspective, looking at this, guys, if I go to the monthly, it's been very rare to actually look at the monthly outlook. Now, if you know about Fibonacci on a cryptocurrency chart, you would know that due to the amassed amount of volatile and indecisive wicks, it can be more precise and more efficient at many times over to use the body-to-body closures. And that's exactly what I've done. We annihilated that 61.8, which meant even if it was on a short-term pullback of around $10,000, then by all means, this should be a nice way to slowly halt the price. So the $11,200 region that you saw in the prior video is where we pretty much peaked, exactly at that level there on the fib projection as well. So again, I do apologize, I couldn't get the video out. I'm not sure why it wasn't uploading, but at least you know it was made as well, and the levels were covered. So going over to the weekly, and I mean the monthly first, you can see nice $11,600 region. So the reason I said the validity of 11,000 may not hold up too well is because it hasn't really been a very significant prior level before. You've seen some manipulation occur, but the real reversals have been occurring, not only coincidentally from where this Fibonacci is aligned, but also looking at the wicks and the rejections. A lot of prior price action has been a catalyst as a turning point here. So as you can see, yet again, we did fall just short by around $300, but I wouldn't be surprised to actually see that fulfill before we can start dictating what's going on. So when it comes to those downside targets, are we still anticipating a pullback of any sort? So in terms of all of these targets down here, now that we're looking at these kind of levels, guys, it wouldn't really be wise to be focusing on anything below 4,000 for the time being. In a worst case scenario, just to be completely logical, there's an inverse head and shoulders I've noticed here. Shoulders, head, any form of dangerous and instant reversal, whether that could be a fundamental news, just as you've seen here with these kind of candles. I will leave the $6,000 region open as a worst case scenario for any form of fundamental FUD. I hate the word FUD, but just throwing it out there when there is some form of manipulative move in the market, or if this monthly, huge monthly Fibonacci actually ends up holding, then by all means there can be some focus here. But be very stupid to be regarding any of that right now unless we saw some major turning point in the market. So 11.6 is definitely on my scopes, and to be honest with you, if 11.6 breaks, I wouldn't even be, let's just get rid of that first of all, completely get rid of that. If we break 11,600, then we can start projecting $13,000 in an absolute heartbeat. So pretty crazy. Again, I'm not here to really give bearish or bullish biases. I'm not really biased to either way in the market. I've been dying to see these days again, and any form of kind of bearish analysis you've seen is just me being logical and providing the usual pullback regions. But I am over the moon to now see these levels finally coming through. So In terms of any cautious or caution regional areas to consider pullbacks, again, we'll just keep the same theory in mind. We have already completed this Fibonacci setup here, A, B. Worst case scenario, drag that a bit lower. It's all been fulfilled regardless. So A, B, C, D. If it closes below this level, then we can expect maybe another push higher. But overall, again, always be prepared for those pullback regions. So $11,200 to where we currently are now, you could still be looking at those realistic pullbacks of around $8,500 to around $8,000. So anywhere within these regions here, still more than easy and acceptable to see. It could be a very sharp pullback, a well-healthy correction, and then we just continue all the way up higher. So realistically speaking, if we were to see a pullback here, every single ball would get wrecked, which would be quite unfortunate, but it would also provide a nice leg higher now. I mean, we're looking at $12,000, $13,000. $11,000 for me isn't too significant. It's only going to form a reversal realistically if it causes from here. But overall, upside targets now are very well aligned. So just remaining cautious. I'm not going to invalidate any of these levels yet because it could happen in an absolute heartbeat of a move. So just be cautious of that level. More importantly as well, one thing I did just cover in the Telegram and what I covered yesterday was that BTC should now see a pullback to around $10,450 to $10,400 to hopefully continue this surge further. And as you can see, upon one instantaneous move, very, very good move to see, from $11,200 we dropped all the way down to $10,400 in a single movement, almost precisely within that zone, dipping a little bit lower to $10,360, give or take. Yeah, around that level. So we've actually seen a perfect tap. I've actually got a position running on BitMEX on that now as well. I've entered my position, the contract is running, and it's looking like it may not even come back for the time being. So I am putting a lot of focus now on the next leg higher. I'm not really considering any form of pullback to the 8,000 region dollar yet, although definitely in my scopes and on my radar in a very sudden flash of a move, $11,600 is a key region to take into consideration. And guys, using monthly Fibonacci's, which we've used many times over in the past, they hold the strongest validity of everything, and it was almost foolish of me to not pay attention to that in the first place. But looking at it now, not obviously ignore all of this stuff for the time being, just look at the actual retracements. Even if this is enough to cause a very short-term pullback in the market to the likes of $8,000, I would just be stacking up even heavier. So I want to see how this region holds. I do believe that nice intraday pullback we've seen to 10.4 should hopefully provide the catalyst to that level just located above now, and it could provide a very nice move from that point onwards. Going over to XRP, A, B, C, the extension has just been fulfilled at 50 cents. If we go over to the Telegram, in a very lucky, fortunate move yesterday as well, around 15 minutes before the explosion, I caught the long as well, which helped kind of cover the losses from the prior trade. For those of you who are asking what this trade means, it means I entered here. The minute I saw that short call opportunity not looking too promising anymore, I updated the Telegram, I entered the trade just to show you the entry was here. Price started pulling up. I had $10,400 in my sight. I didn't want to be greedy. I took the move. This is my stop loss. This isn't a sell. This isn't a sell. That was my take profit. That was my stop loss being incremented higher, just securing those profits. And as you can see, a nice little return there. And I do believe the BitMEX one is already running around 300% up as well. So looking at this now as well, XRP, what did it do upon a pullback? And with a little adjustment up higher now that we can fix this, from there to there, the trend line, the weekly trend line, by the way, huge, sudden and sharp pullback, rejected a broken trend line, which was the key region. I said if we actually start breaking above 46 cents in this trend line here, as long as these 4-hour candles can sustain above, then we are looking at potentially another spike higher, maybe a little rejection on a 4-hour perspective as well. But with the 1H complete, this could be providing the next leg higher to 53 cents and hopefully 57 cents to follow as well. So BTC is looking good. We're already up for $300, from the movement of $10,400. Pulling up here, you could be looking at almost a $1,200 move simply off that call alone. So things are moving very fast right now, and things are moving very rapid. So in terms of the bearish sentiment, nope, we do not need to focus on that anymore, looking at 10,000 being broken, because let's just say we do break through 11,600 and we do not hold it. That means our next pullback region would be around $10,000, before rocketing further towards the likes of 15 and 16,000. So looking at where we currently are in the market right now, all eyes are located on this Fibonacci setup here, because if this monthly Fibonacci can provide validity, then it will just dump it back to 8k and 6k, but I really don't see that happening right now. So focus on the rejection regions, focus on the $10,400 zone as well. If you caught that trade, you should already be in a pretty significant profit, whether that's on a regular margin trading platform like Hugo's Way or simply on BitMEX. You should be in a very good profit right now as well. Same goes for XRP. I said if we break through, and Lord behold, once we broke through, we jumped 4 cents straight to 50 cents. So now that this fib has been fulfilled, I can now drag this there, drag this there. Look at these for new potential setups, any downside falls in the market. Again, it all just correlates. It's just being realistic, wick to wick. Anything you see, maybe a sharp spike, breakout, but I don't see these fibs coming through just yet. I'm actually looking more like this, because at the end of the day, we've broken a trend line now, and if you can sustain that trend line there, rejections, confluence with the fibs, take us higher please to 57 cents. So incredibly exciting moments in the market right now. XRP looking pretty good. BTC now pushing towards $10,800 already. So because this move's already significantly pulled higher by several $100s, would be very wise indeed to move stop losses into at least break even or even a little bit of profit just below the wick. Worst case scenario, it pulls back. You've secured around a $200 move. It pulls back, you simply enter again. So any form of pullbacks that could be a nasty surprise as well. Let me just whip up the 4 hour just to see any form of nasty pullback and surprises on a short-term perspective. If we do not hit this level just yet, just be cautious of around $9,800 to $10,000. We're still very close to that level. It's just how you would see these kind of movements here. It could just slowly roll over, dip its way down to, let's just say, 10,000 to 9,500, and then rocket higher as well. So if you're already in the trade, stop losses in profit, enjoy a nice risk-free movement. If not, simply just await the next pullback. If you did miss that pullback region, you will have to wait for the next one, as unfortunately that was a very precise one and came through almost perfect. So hopefully now, waiting to see these levels, please pay attention and draw that Fibonacci on your chart as well, because 11,600 is a final hurdle to what will then be a very positive ending to 2019. Whereas if it starts holding, then it may just see a very slow decline. Even in the worst case scenario, we end up closing 2019 around $8,000 to $10,000. It's only going to catapult us into 2020 with all-time highs. So despite me potentially thinking it may, I'd say 5% chance now of seeing a real bearish turnaround for this year. Looking at how positive it's been, it's looking very unlikely now. However, I do still stick by my bias of 2020 being the bull run that breaches all-time highs. So I do believe all-time highs should be broken now almost 100% by 2020. Wasn't looking too promising here, and I still thought even here you might see a bit of a turnaround. In terms of turnarounds now, just be sharp movements like this, several $1,000s in a single week or two, but then by the end of the month now, we should be looking at pulling back significantly higher. So focus on this region, should be nice and easy to be fulfilled for now. This Fibonacci level as well is just a nice little setup should we actually breach this level. So let's just say we hit that, we start pulling higher. Perfect confluence of $9,000, perfect confluence of $8,400 that was anticipated. Third trend line, very believable that it could be met fairly soon, and then bang, up we start going into the $13,000 regions. BTC now pretty much at 10,008. Everyone's in profit. Hope everyone's having a good weekend so far. Let's see where we can be taken by the end of this week.